you need to realize that not having a victim's mentality is the reason why you're struggling to change your reality, because you are denying yourself of who you are at a fundamental level, thus leading to you subconsciously denying yourself of the reality that you desire. See, you will see online people preaching not to be a victim, but this doesn't factor in the key fact that your subconscious mind creates your reality. If you are ignorant of what lies within your subconscious mind, you will damn. If you are ignorant of what damn. If you are ignorant of what lies within your subconscious mind, reality will be ignorant of you. So essentially, I'm going to break down all of this and show you how to be a victim so that you actually change your reality. So the overview of this video is the overview of this video is, firstly, I'm going to show you why you need to be a victim, the true definition of trauma, which you have likely gotten wrong, why and how trauma alters your reality, the importance of subconscious associations, then how could I forget how to overwrite the trauma. Right. So, why you need to be a victim, right? It's very likely that you don't want to be a victim. Most people don't want to be seen as a victim, because being seen as a victim implies that people pity you, that you weren't able to get through the situation that you've gotten through. What you need to recognize is that you need to be a victim. And I'm going to explain it in this video. I know I'm saying the same things a few times, but let me get into this, right? When you don't want to be a victim, right, you end up denying how experiences affected and are still affecting you. The reason why, not even the reason, this is extremely prevalent, let's say, with our parents' generation. If you don't know, I'm 22, turning 23 in 2 months. And when I talk to my parents, like, they would tell me the most crazy thing that happened, and oh yeah, my dad was shot right in front of me. And you're like, dude, like, are you sure, like, that didn't affect you? Nah, it was what it was. Like, it's not that deep. Like, in my parents' generation, Zimbabwe got independence in 1980, and my dad is 58. Yeah, he's 58. So it means that when Zimbabwe got independence, he was 12, right? And let's say someone who's slightly older than my dad, who have good, firm, vivid memories of what was happening during those wars. And when you talk to them, like, oh, did this affect you? They're like, nah, it just was what it was. Like, it's what it is. You guys are affected by these things. But then when you analyze the way they treat people, the way they go through their life, you'll be able to see that these people are actually very traumatized, right? So now, when you don't want to be a victim, and you deny the thought of even being a victim, right? You are ignorant and you begin to neglect yourself. Now, when you are ignorant and neglect yourself, the world will be ignorant and neglectful towards your dream reality, towards the things that you want to manifest, right? See, the reason why I was stuck for 3 years, right? If you don't know, I started my entrepreneurial journey posting on YouTube, posting on Instagram 3 years ago, and 4 years ago actually, in 2022, but I only became unstuck mid last year. But the reason why I was stuck is because I refused to accept any trauma from my past regarding money, regarding success, regarding being seen. I told myself, like, nigga, I haven't been through anything, because it's very likely that you have a conceptualization of trauma as like guns and tanks and bombs and someone nearly dying in front of your face and you losing your leg, when trauma, actually relax. I know I'm edging. Pause. I know I'm teasing you, but I'm not going to tell you what trauma actually is right yet. But I'm going to continue. So I told myself that, okay, I didn't tell myself anything. I refused to accept the times where I was traumatically experienced, let's say regarding money. Growing up, money a lot of the times was a source of conflict in my household. It was a source of turmoil. It was a source of relational breakdown, and even a source of shame. Like, sometimes I felt bad for having money, because it's like, why do I have money when other people don't? And because I had thought of money that way. Because I had denied being a victim, I didn't see how those events were affecting me subconsciously, and because they were affecting me subconsciously, they were affecting my reality. You need to recognize that your subconscious mind is essentially the heart of your reality. Everything you do stems from your subconscious mind. In the Bible, it says, "Guard your heart, for all things flow from it." And I didn't understand that verse because it's like, how am I supposed to guard a 3-pound piece of flesh? I don't know how much my heart weighs, but 3 resonated. But how am I supposed to guard this amount of flesh? Like, what is it supposed to do? Until I read deeper and realized that your heart is essentially your deeper mind. So guard your subconscious mind, for all you do flows from it. Now, trauma resides in your subconscious mind, right? So if you aren't aware of the trauma that you have, you are unaware of how you are creating your reality, how the things are flowing from your subconscious mind. So I was unaware of how I'd been affected with those things in terms of money, in terms of relationships, but predominantly in terms of money and success. And I told myself that all the traumatic things that I went through were not that deep and normal, right? And because I refused to address them, they remained prevalent in my life and kept on affecting my reality. And once I altered them, things began to unlock in my reality. And I finally experienced a breakthrough year, which I experienced last year and I'm still experiencing right now. Let me not even say breakthrough. This is the new normal, huh? I don't know why I'm calling you a hoe. This is the new normal, nigga. Anyways, you need to know where you are starting on a state of consciousness level to be able to get where you want to go. The truth is, you know exactly where you want to be. You know that you want to be trusting of your partner. You know that you want to be abundant, to have more money than you need. You know that you want to have a business that has 10 clients and it's a business where you are paid 25k per client, and like fulfilling the clients is amazing and it's not a headache. You know where you want to get, but you don't know where you are. Now, if you don't know where you are, how are you ever going to get where you want to go? Because you're not going to know which directions you're going to take. If I tell you go to Russia right now and you have no idea where you are, how are you going to get to Russia? Right? You go left, now you end up in the Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is nowhere near Russia. Right? So you need to know where you are on a subconscious level, and that involves being intimately aware of times in which you were traumatized, times in which you needed to be a victim. See, if you are unaware within, you are going to be unaware without, because the Hermetic said that as within, as without. Your world is simply a reflection of what is going on internally. There is an invisible string that connects you to your world. If you change you, you will change your world, but you can't change your world and then change you. You have to change you. See, James Allen said that people are satisfied with themselves, but unsatisfied with their lives. And it doesn't make sense, because like you and your life are one. If you change you, you're going to change your life. Anyways, you need to be a victim to recognize how your mind has been working. If you become more aware, you are actually increasing your frequency, so you are actually becoming a victor. See, this video isn't becoming a victim in the sense of like, look at what you did to me, I can't believe you did this, but becoming a victor, being aware of how they hurt you, being aware of how you're traumatized, so that you can actually transcend it and become your desired version, right? You need to realize that high frequency isn't feeling good. It's essentially high awareness, and that's awareness to the mechanisms of the universe. So when you become more aware of yourself, you become more aware of the universe, because the world is nothing but a reflection of you. There's one earth, but there's 8 billion worlds. That's a bar, write that down. So now you can pull your pants down. You're gonna get the true definition of trauma. See, trauma, pull your pants back up. But anyways, trauma, the true definition of trauma. The truth is, it's very likely that you're traumatized. It is almost impossible to go through life being untraumatized. Now, I want to ask you, what is trauma to you? Based on what I said earlier, like you're probably thinking of guns, blitzkrieg. tanks, a nigga pointing a gun at my head, me being robbed and them nearly stabbing me in South London. It's likely that you're thinking of all these drastic, violent experiences. See, most people conceptualize trauma in terms of like war veterans, people who nearly died, right? Like threats to your death. See, and with these people, we can easily recognize how trauma affects their reality. You can see how it alters their beliefs, alters their perceptions, alters their attention, alters their reactions, alters their emotionally charged thoughts, alters their expectations, and alters their convictions. And if you don't know, these 7 things are essentially the keys to your state of consciousness. If something can alter these things, it can alter your reality. If you want to alter your reality, all you need to do is align your beliefs, perceptions, attention, reactions, ECTs, expectations, convictions to that which you want, and your life will naturally remold itself to give you that which you want. However, we can easily recognize how trauma, like nearly dying, affects these people. Like now they're scared of sounds, like they hear sound like or they hear a plane flying over, and their perception, their belief is, I'm about to get bombed. Like this house is about to turn to smoke, to rubble, to ash. I'm about to be vaporized, right? And it's not that they're about to be vaporized. There's a cargo jet flying over, carrying people's useless things that they've ordered. But they have perceived it as a threat to their life. So now they behave as if it's a threat to their life, and it actually becomes a threat to their life. Like they're hiding, they go downstairs, they start running, thinking, oh, I need to get away from this bomb. Or they hear a slight clicking sound and they think it's a gun. And now they behave as if it's a gun, and they're like, get away from me. Get away from me. But we can recognize how, with these clearly traumatized people, how it affects their reality, how it affects the life that they live. However, you need to realize that the true definition of trauma is a negatively, emotionally charging experience that has embedded itself in the subconscious mind. And I've highlighted embedded itself in the subconscious mind, and I'm going to tell you exactly why in a few minutes. But essentially, trauma is a negative, emotionally charged experience, right? That is a true definition of trauma. So now, when you think about trauma that way, you can begin to realize that you are actually quite traumatized. How many negatively, emotionally charging experiences that you remember to this day do you have? Or more accurately, can I say emotionally charging memories, like negatively, emotionally charging memories? How many do you have? Right? You're probably thinking of, maybe I was cheated on. Or maybe you lost all your money, you're trading crypto and you just saw 50,000 vaporize in front of your eyes. Maybe you started a business, you went bankrupt. Maybe you saw someone starting a business and they went bankrupt. But I'll get into that later. When you keep in mind this true definition of trauma, that it is a negatively emotionally charging experience that has embedded itself in the subconscious mind, you will realize that you are actually quite a traumatized individual because of what you've been through. It doesn't matter if it's big or small, right? A lot of the times we tend to minimize the things that we've been through because it's not as bad as someone else has been. You will see that people are being bombed in a certain area of the world. Someone lost their parents when they were 6 months old and they don't even know what their mom looks like or their dad looks like. Someone was robbed and they were shot and part of their nose came off, and you're like, damn, like my trauma is nothing compared to this person, so not trauma. But what you need to realize is like your emotions are like water, and water, if you have enough water, it's always going to fill the container. So something can be an emotionally charging experience negatively, and it can objectively look not as bad. Like, oh, you lost your money, but this person, they were shot in this ear, shot in this ear, shot in the leg, and you think, it's not that bad. But to you, it has filled your emotional container. We like to think that grief, you can measure grief in objectivity, like, oh, it's objectively this and that. No, grief fills a container of your heart. So it doesn't matter if it's big or small. What matters is if it's there. See, a minimization of the trauma you've been through leads to it always remaining because you never address it. You tell yourself that, oh, this isn't that bad. So it's not that bad, but if it's not that bad, you're not going to address it. If you're not going to address it, it's secretly going to play in your subconscious mind, leading to it unfolding in your reality. But now, when it unfolds in your reality, you're going to be confused. But the reason why you're confused is because you are unaware of how it was affecting you within, as without. So, when you see that trauma is just a negatively emotionally charging experience, you begin to see that, oh, I lost money and I felt depressed for 3 months. Trauma. I was cheated on. Trauma. My parents only loved me when I did well and showed me affection when I was top of the class. Trauma. All these things, trauma, trauma, trauma. And it begins where it's dangerous, because now these things can affect your life. They have been embedded in your subconscious mind, which I'm now addressing. Embedded itself in your subconscious mind. The reason why this is dangerous is because, for one thing, there are no truths in your reality other than what the subconscious mind has accepted as true. Now, the subconscious mind doesn't accept things as true the same way that your conscious mind does. Consciously, for something to be true, it has to make sense, it has to have logic, facts, it has to be backed by science, and all these things. Right? Subconsciously, for something to be true, it just has to be emotionally charging. This is why people can have conflicting reactions to something, right? They can trust their partner fully and still be scared. Why? Because that scared comes from the subconscious mind. It doesn't come from your conscious mind. Consciously, you know, oh, this person's great. But subconsciously, because of something that happened in your past, you're so like, damn, like, no one's safe. No one's safe. So, there are no truths in your reality other than what the subconscious mind has accepted as true. Now, because it's been an emotionally charging experience, your subconscious mind accepts it as true. So now it becomes a truth in your reality. That is why you see a lot of people reliving the same things ever. Generational trauma, all these things that I'm going to get into. You can see I'm going to get into it. But anyways, the second thing, or what is in your, it's not the second thing, but an extension of what I was saying. What is in your subconscious mind has a reality altering effect. Because why? The universe is mental. Everything about this world is mental. To quickly explain this, everything that exists once existed in someone's mind. The doorknob that you're looking at, the table that you're at, your computer, it was once in someone's mind. And everything is a manifestation of what was once in a mind. This world is a manifestation of what it was in God's mind. Right? The universe is mental. What is in your mind will come externally. Pause. You are going to see it externally, what's in your mind. So now, because that trauma is in your subconscious mind, is going to come externally, right? Now, because it's been embedded in the subconscious mind, you need to realize that your trauma doesn't have to come from you. It can be observed and still enter the subconscious mind. Why? Because let's say you love that person dearly and you observe them going through turmoil. It's going to cause an emotional reaction within. Now, if it is very emotionally charging, it is going to enter your subconscious mind. Because it's entered your subconscious mind, it now has a reality altering effect. It has now become a truth in your reality. See, your subconscious mind doesn't care whether you've gone through it or not. It only cares about the emotion attached to it. It doesn't care. It's not logical. It's irrational, right? Emotion is a true language of the subconscious mind. People say it's repetition, that, oh, if I repeat things 10,000 times, it's going to get into my mind or subconscious mind. Yes. But the easier way is through emotion, because most of the traumatic things you've been through, you only experience them once for them to enter your subconscious mind. Yo, my throat is sore. Oh, he's drinking from a plastic bottle. Shut up. Anyways, so now, keeping in mind that your trauma can be observed and still enter the subconscious mind, it actually gets dangerous. And the reason why it's dangerous is because of social media. See, on social media, I like to say that this generation has been traumatized by things that we haven't even been through simply because of social media. You will go on social media and someone, because they're a captivating speaker, you are engaged in their story and you begin to like them. Let's say the person's handsome, they're gorgeous, and they recount a story of how they lost the love of their life, they were cheated on. And you're like, damn, You start imagining yourself going through it, or you just feel bad for the person. You feel an emotion, it becomes emotionally charged. And now, one post isn't enough, right? But you engage 10 posts like this a day. 10 a day, 70 a week, 315 a month, right? And now it embeds itself in your subconscious mind. But you haven't been through those things. But it's embedded itself in your subconscious mind. Because it's embedded itself in your subconscious mind, it becomes a truth. And you become traumatized by something you've never been through. But because it's in your subconscious mind, it now has a reality altering effect. So now you start recognizing that, oh no, people are trash. It's not that you experienced people trash before, but now that's what you start experiencing. But anyways, on social media, we have been traumatized by people that we've never even met and now have traumas that we never even experienced regarding relationships, regarding money, regarding performance. Don't think about sexual performance, you horny ass nigga. I mean, in terms of sports. Yeah, but anyways, like people think that women are trash, not because they have experienced anything trash to do with women, but, or let's say women are evil. Not because they've experienced anything, but they've observed their friends, they've observed stories of people on social media. People think that money is evil. Why? Because other people told them it's evil. They've seen someone who did well and they were evil. Oh, this person is evil, so money is evil, right? Performance, you've heard of athletes, you've seen athletes falling down, breaking their thing, right? Essentially, it gets dangerous because you can adopt trauma from someone else. Now, this is where generational trauma comes in. People think that generational trauma is like this spiritual thing, of which it is, because spiritual is just unmanifest, like it's not physical, right? But where generational trauma comes in and gets particularly dangerous is generational trauma is essentially observed trauma, right? People who never experienced the initial trauma still behave as if they did. Why do they behave as if they did? Because it has entered their subconscious mind. The subconscious mind creates the truths in your reality. Now, because it's a truth in your reality, you will begin to experience it. But now you believe it's generational trauma. That's why you're experiencing it. When no, it's generational trauma because you have accepted it. See, generational curses are nothing other than subconsciously accepted, like emotionally charging experiences. So it now becomes a generational curse that is experienced generation after generation after generation. Not because they experience it physically, but because they experience it and accept it internally, and it has no option but to manifest externally. However, the people that break those generational curses are people who refuse to accept it internally. Therefore, it doesn't show up externally. You see, right? And the best story I've been reading this book, it's called "It Didn't Start With You," and it's about how like passed down trauma, generational trauma. And there's this interesting story in the book that there's this man who he was fine, like whatever, up until 19. He turned 19, right? And now he suddenly couldn't sleep. And every time he did try to sleep, he started shivering and he felt cold every night. And it happened quite literally the day he turned 19. So now he was not able to sleep. He was cold when he slept, like no amount of blankets was enough. And he was like, what the hell's going on? He didn't know this happened for years and years and years until he went to this psychologist. Now the psychologist was like, so you've never been through any trauma regarding cold, regarding not being able to sleep, right? Has anyone in your family gone through the trauma? He's like, no. But come to find out, he found out, I don't know how, but he found out that his dad had a brother, so the guy's uncle, right? When the dad's brother, so when his uncle was 19, he was fixing something in a snowstorm, and I think he fell down, broke his leg, whatever it may be, but he was stranded in the snow. So he was cold, he was getting hypothermia, and he started getting tired, falling asleep. And long story short, he ended up dying. So for him, falling asleep in that cold was associated with him dying, right? So sleep meant death. That was a subconscious association that was made. Now, the child had this generational trauma that when he turned 19, the same age as his uncle, when he had that traumatic experience, which ended up in him dying, being in the cold, and sleeping meant death, was passed down to that child. So now that child, he was 19, 20, until he resolved it. Sleep subconsciously meant him dying. Sleep was now associated with cold. And until he resolved that, or once he resolved that, he was able to sleep perfectly and actually feel warm. But the point of all of this is he was traumatized by something that he hadn't even been through, and something that he wasn't even aware that happened. Why? Because states of consciousness are contagious. This is why they say that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the time with, because their states of consciousness are contagious to you. So, like I was saying, like, generational trauma is dangerous because when you have it, you eventually experience it because you have accepted the trauma as a law of your reality. Therefore, it will inevitably happen. So that's an interesting thing for you, covering generational trauma. But anyways, moving on. What you need to recognize is just because it's in the past doesn't mean it's past. See, when we think about traumatic incidents in our life, we think that, oh, this happened 10 years ago, so it's not affecting me right now. But what you need to recognize that time is not a construct in your subconscious mind. What is embedded in your subconscious mind, whether it happened 20 years ago, whether it happened 200 years ago and you didn't experience, is in your subconscious mind, meaning it's happening now. That song of the trauma is silently playing in the background of your mind. Therefore, it's going to be manifested in your life. But because you weren't aware that it was silently playing in your subconscious background, you're going to be like, what's the hell's going on? Like, why am I experiencing these things? And you're going to call it generational trauma. Or you're just going to say, oh, it's the confirmation of what I believe, or it's confirmation of this trauma. Right? There's no time in the subconscious mind. It's just now. It's just present. So, you need to recognize that you are still experiencing your past in the form of emotionally charged thoughts, leading to them materializing in your reality right now. What you need to recognize is we place so much emphasis on this reality that we're living in, the physical world, the world of illusion. But the physical world, what we can see, only accounts for 0.0035% of what is actually in the electromagnetic spectrum. So there is much more that is unseen than is seen. So if you're experiencing something in an unseen way in your subconscious mind, it is actually mathematically more real than what you're experiencing externally. And because it is mathematically more real than what you're experiencing externally, eventually you're going to experience it externally, like actually. So I don't want you to think that, oh, it's in the past, it doesn't matter, this happened 10 years ago. It is, if you haven't addressed it, it is still affecting you right now. Now, I want to take you into the importance of subconscious associations, and I touched on it earlier, but I told you to pull up your pants. Like, it wasn't going to come down. So, a lot of the times when we want to get certain things, achieve certain goals in our life, whether it be more clients, business success, business success, a new relationship, there is a difference between our logical definition of it and our subconscious definition or association, right? We will want something logically. Let's say in business, you want more clients because you recognize that more clients will bring more cash will take you closer to financial freedom. You'll be able to spend more time with your wife and kids. You'll be able to go on that holiday with your girlfriend, whatever it may be. Logically, you will want it logically, but you won't recognize that the universe doesn't care. It doesn't give a flying hoo-ha about what you want logically. All it cares about is what you want subconsciously. Now you may be asking, like, how do I want subconsciously, and why would my subconscious wants oppose what I want logically? Doesn't the subconscious stem from the conscious? Anyways, how you want subconsciously is your subconscious associations. So what you have subconsciously attributed to what you want logically. So your subconscious associations are essentially the most emotionally charging experience you have regarding whatever it is you want. So let's say you want to get more money, you want to have more clients, right? You subconsciously, what you're going to want is what you've associated with it. So it's going to be the most emotionally charging experience regarding, let's say, money. So for a lot of you, the most emotionally charging experience could have been something to do with conflict. Maybe your parents were fighting and your dad may have hit your mom because of a money thing. Turmoil, relational breakdown, like people switch up on you now, they're always asking you for money instead of actually caring how you're going. Right now, you're switching up on your day ones. That's how you've subconsciously associated money to be. Let's say in relationships, the most emotionally charging experience you've been through may be one of conflict, disharmony, pain, betrayal, success. Let's say you're trying to succeed and you're overlooked. That may be the most emotionally charging experience regarding success, career advancement. So the thing is, right, where it's dangerous is logically you'll think, oh, I want more money. Oh, I want to get into a relationship. Oh, I want more clients. But what do you get? Your subconscious association of that thing. So let's say in the realm of business, right? I've seen this with some of my clients, right? Oh yeah, by the way, if you're a six-figure entrepreneur who knows they have internal subconscious blocks that are preventing them from getting the revenue that they want, the performance that they want in their business, click the first link in the description. I help exactly those types of people remove the internal blocks and finally get where they want to be in just a few weeks. But yeah. Anyways, logically you will think, I want more money. I want more clients. But you will find that you normally get your subconscious associations of those things. So for example, you will think that, oh, I want more clients because clients are going to lead to more income. But the most emotionally charging experience you've had regarding a client is that client that asks for a refund, the client that's a pain in your ass and always on your neck, and he's just a terrible person. Now you're going to have to chase up after him. You're going to have to be talking like, hey, where's my money? Where's my money? I'm unpaid. That is the most emotionally charging experience you've had regarding clients. So logically, you think I want more clients because I'm going to get more money. But subconsciously, what you've associated with clients is chasing after payments, discontent, and you just hating your business. So what do you get? You're either going to get two things. Number one, you might not just get clients because why would you want discontent? Why would you want to be chasing after people? Why would you want to be unhappy? So it's like your subconscious mind is like, no, we don't want that. We don't want that. Or, secondly, or the second option, which is even worse, is you get exactly what you want subconsciously. You tell yourself you want more clients, you get more clients, but in fact, you get discontent, you get annoying clients, or you don't even get the clients, you just get discontent. Your clients that you currently have are more annoying, and you just experience more of what you've associated clients to be subconsciously. In relationships, the easiest one to explain. I use a lot of examples of relationships. Why? Because I think most people can understand it. Because regardless of whether you're successful or not right now, you have relationships in your life. But let's say you have subconsciously associated betrayal, dishonesty, pain, abandonment with relationships, right? You now think, oh, I want a relationship, logically. And logically, you see a relationship as love, companionship, just partnership, just everything amazing. Someone who truly sees you, but subconsciously you see it as pain, betrayal, abandonment. And you begin to get those things. That's why people say the streets are terrible, because when you're in the streets, you experience certain things, you observe certain things, and you subconsciously accept that engaging, trusting someone will lead to them cheating on me. It will lead to betrayal. You observe it everywhere. You accept it as true. Now, every time you try get that relationship, that is what you experience, your subconscious association. You experience conflict, disharmony, pain, betrayal. And now you start thinking, because you're experiencing those things, you start creating rules in your reality that, oh, all men are trash. When it's like, no, you're traumatized. But that trauma is affecting what you're materializing. And now because you're materializing it more, you're seeing it more, it's creating this sick feedback loop where it's like you accept it, you experience it. Because you experience it, you further accept it. Crazy. And what you know is that these associations are formed through emotionally experiencing or observing, right? Another thing, which I actually touched on, but I'm going to explain, is like the indirect implications, right? Let's say you've associated money with being evil. However, you're normal, so you don't want to be evil. Like, I'm not trying to be sacrificing babies. Now, because you believe that money is evil and you don't want to be evil, you're not going to make money. Like the indirect implication of you believing money is evil is that you will not make money unless you want to be evil. Relationships, let's say you view relationships as betrayal, but you don't want to be betrayed, you won't get into a relationship. You may be betrayed before you get into the relationship, or even worse, you will get exactly what you want subconsciously, and that's you'll be betrayed. So now you're thinking, how do I override these things? I've told you that these things are crazy. These things are affecting your life. So you're like, damn, I'm cooked. How do I change my life? How you change it is essentially by going back to this definition here. The true definition of trauma is a negatively emotionally charging experience that has embedded itself in the subconscious mind. So to replace and overwrite your trauma, you would have to overwrite that experience with a more emotionally charging experience, but the other way, positively. That is how you overwrite it. Because your traumas have come from emotional experiences, you just need to emotionally experience what you desire, and for that experience to be stronger than what you previously experienced. If you're anything like me in the beginning, I was telling myself, like, how the hell am I going to make an imaginary thing more emotionally charging than what I've actually been through? But that is just your mind trying to keep you in the same place, your old frequency, your old self trying to protect itself. Because once your old self goes, once you accept that, oh, I'm a victim, and you actually become a victor, right? That old self dies, stops existing. So it's like it's trying to protect itself from dying, and it tells you that, oh, how is this going to happen? So you end up beating yourself up before you even try. So now, if you want to get rid of your trauma, you have to ask yourself, what are the most emotionally charging experiences that I've been through regarding what I want to materialize? So for you, it may be you want more money. You may want more clients. You may want a career advancement. Or you may want a relationship. What are the most emotionally charging experiences that you've been through regarding what you want to materialize? There you'll see where your trauma is, or rather, what's the most negatively emotionally charging experience that you've been through regarding what you want to materialize. And when you see it, you need to find it, the most emotionally charging memory you have. And now what I want you to do is to rewrite it, come up with something imaginary, rewrite that situation, how you wish it would have gone, how it would go if you weren't traumatized. So let's say you were betrayed. Rewrite that experience so that you weren't betrayed. Let's say you were only loved because you did well. Rewrite that experience whereby you did badly and you were still loved. And you'll be saying, oh, it's imaginary. Like, how am I going to convince myself? I promise you, if you imagine it and it's vivid enough and it produces an emotion, your subconscious mind will accept it as true, even though you logically know that it isn't true. Why? Because your subconscious mind is irrational. Now, if you want to learn how to do the process of rewriting it, I detail it in most of my videos, but I'm gonna say it quickly here. Essentially, get into a relaxed meditative state, essentially just by sitting down, being still. Now when you're still, you're in a meditative state, bring that thing that you want to visualize, play it in your mind, create a mental visualization of that thing that was once traumatizing but happening and unfolding in a way in which what you desired to happen happens. Emotionally experience that, and now you're done. There's more to it, but I explain it in another video. But essentially, that is how, or that is why you need to be a victim to be able to change your reality. But the funny thing is, by accepting that you need to be a victim, you become a victor. So, reset. You need to be a victim to change your reality.